So do you want me to hold a picture up first or after? Or?
No, this is the first one. The first
Yeah,
one is Arch's
we'll
dad.
just go through the book, and then later I'll come back and match the pictures with the book in the order we do them.
Gotcha.
Okay. This is Arch's dad when he was a divinity student at Mount Tamalpais, which is not too far from here. Well, this says about 1910, which I guess is about right.
So he did that after World War I?
No, before. He was an ordained minister when he went into World War I. He went in as a chaplain.
Oh, okay.
What denomination was he?
Presbyterian. And here they are, just married. Well, not just married, it says 1915 here. So Dad was born in 1914.
No.
16.
60.
So this is the honeymoon couple. He's just back from the war. No, or 15. He's just
1916, he would be still in the war unless he left early.
Right, because it didn't end until
I think
1918.
that's before he went. Mm-hmm. And I think that probably 1914.
So tell me more about him. He had a beautiful singing voice, and is that what
He
attracted him to
did.
the ministry?
No, well, I think that's what allowed him to get in the ministry, because he would have been a coal miner in Nova Scotia like his father. But his singing voice was so beautiful in church that somebody took an interest in him and arranged for him to, this is all in the book,
Okay.
arranged for him to go to the States to go to high school, and then from there on to
So
college.
Mount Tamalpais was the seminary,
Yeah.
and was that after college?
No, that was before. I think it was like a college.
And somewhere during that time he met Grandma.
No, not then. He didn't meet her until after he'd had a mission in, where was
I
it?
think it says back here.
Yes, it's all in the book. It's much simpler if you just read the book.
Okay, it says he served as a mission on the
Lapwai Indian Reservation, which was in Idaho. And he married someone there.
He had a wife before our grandmother?
Yes, he did.
I didn't know that.
Well, you haven't read my book.
Almost all of our grandparents had previous marriages. This is very shocking.
Grandma didn't. He married someone he met in Boise and had a child whose name I don't recall.
We have a half aunt out there?
No, she wouldn't be your aunt. I don't know what she'd be. I guess she would. But she used to visit them, and the daughter used to visit them in Portland. But not very often, and I don't think they ever kept in touch with her.
So is Grandma the reason that his marriage broke up?
No. He was divorced, and then he went to a church in Ritzville. And though her grandfather was the minister of the Congregational Church, I think he was so handsome that they started inviting him to dinner, and it went on from there.
Well, she was awfully pretty too.
She was. But then came World War II, and he went
World
in
War One.
One. He went in as a chaplain, and went through all the worst fighting in France, and lost his faith. And when he came back, he scratched Chaplain Corps off all his dog tags and everything. Anything that said Chaplain Corps, he scratched off. And everybody in Ritzville said they never heard him sing after he got back from the war.
How sad.
Yeah,
Now those are the dog tags that Sean has.
yeah,
Yeah, Sean has Dad's and Grandpa's dog tags.
yeah,
He
And the
got
dog tags are all
scratched
defaced, yeah.
yeah.
Imagine that.
And his, what do you call the paper when you're released from the
Discharge.
army? Discharge paper. He scratched out Chaplain Corps. And he wouldn't allow Mother Mac to go to church or to take the children to Sunday school. And he wanted to be a doctor because he obviously felt he could have helped the men more as a
than
doctor.
as a chaplain. Yeah.
But somehow he didn't make it. They say his eyes gave out, but I don't know why. But anyway, he ended up going to law school.
And where was he going to university?
Well, several. The University of Chicago, and it's in the book.
Okay, well let's talk about the pictures and the
All
stories
right.
behind the pictures.
Okay. Well,
We move up to the birth of our handsome father and
here
his
he
bride in
is
his little
on
car.
his little car. And Mother Mac always used to tell that when they moved to Louisville, Kentucky, Arch was about 3 and Barbara was an infant. And she got on the train and in her scatterbrained fashion said, I forgot the baby's bottle. And Arch, at 3, said, here it is, Mother.
Just like him. He was taking the lead in the family at an early age because his father wasn't probably well, and
Yeah.
his mother was,
Was that a little pedal car that actually pedal, or did you have to scoot with your feet, or do you know?
I think it's a pedal. I don't think they did anything so fancy as have engines in them. in
No,
those
but he
days.
said, did they just kick with their feet or did
Oh,
they pedal?
I don't know.
It's a
Probably,
cute little car.
probably
It's adorable.
pedals.
I bet that.
I bet it's worth a lot of money today if you
I
had
bet if you
one.
went on eBay, you could find it. And then the
And
family grew.
There's the family. Arch and Barbara and Bud and Dodie.
Now, by this
And-
time, would Grandpa have been a lawyer?
Yes. He became a lawyer and tried to practice in Ritzville, but there wasn't enough business in Ritzville, so they moved to Portland. And
Well, ultimately, he wound up in Salem as some
Yeah.
sort of like assistant attorney general or something
He
for the
was.
state.
he was.
He looked very distinguished at this point.
Well, he was a handsome man.
Did anybody inherit his beautiful singing voice?
Not that I know of. Dad sure didn't.
But I do remember Dad singing those long trips across the country, all these old songs about someone's in the kitchen with dying. Remember those?
Yeah.
He used to sing all those songs.
Those are campfire songs.
I've
That's
been
probably
working
what.
on the railroad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably what they used to sing in the camps when they were surveying the roads.
Ah, okay.
And so here he is smoking a pipe.
Here he is in a drama society called Snickpoo, which is Hopkins spelled backwards, but nobody knew why.
And
Well,
what
who
did-
was Hopkins? Why would
Nobody knew.
And so when did he get this interest in being an actor? And why
Well,
didn't
I
he
don't
follow
know.
through on it?
It was probably some girl in the class that he wanted to be with. I don't know.
Was it this one?
I don't.
And was he working while he was in school?
Oh, yes. He helped support his family. He had a paper route and
He worked in he told me once he worked in a bakery where they did
He
bread and he
did?
got 25 cents a day.
yeah, and he had to be there at like 2 o'clock in the morning and worked until school. But I think when he got a bicycle when he was that old, he used to deliver circulars for the movie theaters with coming attractions. And I don't know that he got paid for that, but he could get into the movie free on Saturday. So that was worth it to him.
And this was all in Ritzville?
No, this is in Portland. And during the Depression, his father, who was then in Salem, was able to get him a job with the highway department. And he worked summers, all summer, for surveying for whatever highway that is. I think that's in here.
He pointed that out to me once. It goes right
Yeah.
along the river there near Oswego, as I remember.
No, I don't think. Well, could have. I don't know. But he did a lot of surveying, but up in the hills toward Washington. And when we drove up to Ritzville, we used to go on the road that he had surveyed in the summers. And then he took 2 years off to work before he went. His first 2 years, he was going to Portland State or something in Portland and living at the, what do you call it, YMCA. And then he took 2 years off to work and to help his family and save money for college. And then his last 2 years, he went up to Oregon State. And he worked all the time he was in school, too. Worked in a fraternity house, or a sorority house, I guess.
Oh, that's not work.
He made it sound like work. And Craig did the same thing. Craig was at University of Oregon, also working in a sorority house. They both picked hops in the summers because they grow a lot around Salem. And it's interesting that their lives were so parallel, but they never knew each other.
It is.
They both remembered seeing Lindbergh come through Portland.
And they were at the same school?
No, they were never at the same school. Never met each other till they enlisted in the Navy.
You didn't describe that picture, the surveying picture. You just...
I didn't. Well, this is up in the woods somewhere on a survey crew.
So that wasn't while he was in school or anything. That was when he was actually working for the highway
I don't
department.
know whether it was during the summer or the 2 years he was off working. And this is a family picnic at one of the Oregon beaches, Cannon Beach it says here. And I have all the names. Barbara, Betty, Ratz, Arch, Mildred, Mary Lou Ratz, Doris Bauer, grandmother, and Harold Bauer. And Hal Bauer is the little boy here. Hal was a little boy, and that's grandfather. And this is Arch's dad. About 1930. And this is Rosenblatt's sales force.
Those little Panama hats are pretty cute.
Nope, not Panama.
Not Panamas,
those
no.
Are, what do you call those flat hats?
I thought that's what they called them.
No,
Skimmer?
Panama. Well, maybe. They're not Panama hats. They're those flat, heavy straw.
Yeah, woven straw kind of a thing.
Yeah.
This says he was working there at the men's clothing store in Portland, part-time as a stock boy, while attending junior college at Oregon Institute of Technology from September 37 through June
38.
In fact, this is written in his writing.
Yeah. So.
So even a stock boy had to wear a uniform, huh?
Well, they're dressed up for this picture in white linen suits. And there's a name for those hats. I can't think what it is. Some of them do look like Panamas.
What's the difference between a Panama and what you're thinking
Panama
of?
is very fine straw, and it's flexible. These are hard straw, thick straw, and they're flat on top, and the brim is flat. You can bend a Panama hat any way you want it.
But not these.
So did he own that white linen suit, or is that just where he got the green suit? That's the story he got the green suit from, though, right? The famous green
Yes,
suit.
that's where the ugly green suit came from.
And when did you first see this ugly green suit?
Oh. Well, I couldn't have seen it. Well, I guess I saw it in his closet after we were married. He couldn't have been wearing it.
There's a picture of it in there. It looks like kind of like a zoot suit.
It was double-breasted. And this is also surveying in the woods, in the Cascades, with Louis Bean, who retired in Annapolis, and we went to see him one day. Oh, one of the last things. No, on the time we drove up to
Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia and came down again. We stopped in Annapolis to see Louis Bean. And he sent me a large picture like this after Dad died.
On the back of this picture, it's really faint, but he's written the names of the people. And he's identified the second row is someone named Brown, who sells hats. Chuck Loyton is the credit manager. Frank is shoes. McGrory is suits. Looker is advertising manager. In the back row, we have Granoff for suits, Pretzman for shoes, Myers for furnishings, Williams is the tailor. Myself, he doesn't say what he does, Sunderland suits, Klimov delivery service, and Stoddard is furnishings. And in the front row is the manager and the sales girls.
That's the manager.
Is this one.
The manager has a Panama too.
Well, I'm more interested in the hat man. The sales of hats is second row, Brown, that would be him. He's the hat man.
The first one?
Uh-huh.
Well, I think he rated a Panama too.
His name is Brown.
I don't know, the hats probably came out of stock. I don't know about the suits.
The dad is front row or back row center because he's still the tallest man there, even as a teenager.
Yeah. Well, this is also when he was working in the woods. There was this family of missionaries. And I think he'd been in the woods for so long, this girl looked good to him.
And wasn't her family, he was a minister, they were very religious.
Yes, and he baptized
And Dad
him.
converted for a
He
while.
baptized him.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Dad hadn't been to church for, I suppose, most of his life,
No,
but he got
never.
converted and baptized because this pretty little girl got his attention.
She's not so pretty.
Well, we know you don't think so.
She was the only one he'd seen all summer.
He was your only rival, apparently.
And this is the golden wedding. And that was the point of reference for everything in the family. That was before the golden wedding, or that was after the golden wedding.
What
That
is
was
the
how
golden
they
wedding?
Grandma and Grandpa Bauer's golden wedding.
Anniversary, then. I thought you meant someone named Golden got married.
No.
Golden
They
anniversary.
had they reenact their wedding. So it's a
Okay.
golden wedding.
Okay.
And these are all the cousins. Bob Ratz, Dodie, Arch's dad in the background. Bud MacDonald, Betty Ratz, Arch, and Barbara. And in the front it says Margie Bauer and Catherine Kirkham.
Catherine Kirkham is the one I was in her wedding as a flower girl.
No, that's her sister's. What is her name?
Oh, they were in New York that time we went to New
Yeah.
York? Yeah.
And I remember her daughters. She had Sarah is her daughter, Seraphina. Oh, I can't think of her
I'll
name.
come to you. And what's going on
And
here?
this is grandfather's yellow car, and Arch drove all the kids around in it. Yellow Studebaker.
Touching that.
Arch was the only one old enough to drive, and so all the little boy cousins piled in the car. And this is at Oregon State at the ATO fraternity house. Had a Mother's Day celebration. And Arch is the fourth from the left in front. Here he is sitting down.
Mhm.
And here's Mother Mac right behind him.
Oh yeah, with a pretty corsage. That's
Far
nice.
right
Mm-hmm.
is Oscar Chenoweth, who came back from the war as an ace. Which I don't know means what, Jim? 6 planes
Shot down 5 planes.
5. Here's the green suit. Now, is that awful or not?
Well, you know, he looks kind of hip.
Looks like a gangster.
It really does
Yeah.
look like a zoot suit.
Yeah, it does.
It just
He
needs one of those
looks-
big gold chains hanging out of his pocket.
If he were fatter, he'd
And
look
it
like a
was
mafia.
Such an ugly
And that fedora.
color.
Very.
Was the fedora a matching color?
What?
That was the hat a matching color?
I don't remember the hat so well. But he did wear it after the war.
He's got a crease in those pants. It just
Yeah.
goes on and forever.
And Ben Grout was killed in the war. And this is the dynamite class.
Not that they were dynamite. They were actually
I don't
blowing things up.
understand why they're so dressed up. Arch has a tie on. To be out in the woods dynamiting.
Well, they're engineering students. That's high class, so they have to wear ties.
And here's the Navy. He looks about 12 years old.
It really does in that picture. It's
Yeah.
really young.
He
He looks
does.
younger than the high school pictures.
Sweet. That picture always reminded me of Craig.
Well, a little. The eyes, maybe.
Doesn't have any bars on his shoulder
No.
pads.
Not as a cadet. And these were the yellow perils they used to fly.
And what was his first experience flying?
Well, you'll have to read what he wrote. I don't remember.
You know, I have his logbooks. So I have all Dad's logbooks that describe every flight he took in any airplane from the very beginning to when he soloed until he stopped flying for the Navy.
Wow.
I was assigned to the group that went to the Coast Guard Air Station at Port Angeles, Washington. Oh, this was before Pensacola. Craig was in the other group, which was sent to an airstrip at Moquito, wherever that is, just outside Everett. We had our first taste of flying an N3N3 aircraft, a strong, solid biplane powered by a 400 HP radial engine.
They just let anybody fly planes.
The student normally sat in the front cockpit with the instructor in the rear, where he could keep a close eye on the student. After a few initial aerobatics, we started the serious business of learning how to take off and land.
After the aerobatics.
I think this instructor probably did that to see if it would scare him.
Yeah. See if they had the stomach for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they keep it down?
And what's this?
They're one step closer to Navy wings. So maybe are
Clipping.
they?
That's an old newspaper picture, and there's both Dad and Craig Povier in that picture.
So they're in Pensacola there.
No,
No,
this
that's
is
in
still
their-
in Seattle.
Yeah,
A-
that's in their sort of
A
cadet
clipping
training.
from the Seattle Times, December 10th, 1940. Craig Povey in the first row, fifth from left. Arch MacDonald in the second row, fourth from the right.
That's
Arch.
Craig?
What?
Fifth from left, Craig. 1, 2, 3,
This look.
4, 5.
This looks like Craig.
Yeah.
From left, one, two, three, four, five. That's Craig. Has a plaid shirt. Or am I seeing things?
Mm.
Oh, I'm seeing newspaper.
Yeah, it's just a newsprint.
Mhm.
And Arch is second row, fourth from the right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah,
It's like he's sitting.
yeah.
It's a little hard to see clearly in that.
This is just before they left for Pensacola. This is Pensacola. Our day began at 5:30 with stretching exercises on the parade area in front of our barracks. Dress, breakfast, and fall in for the day's assignments by 7 o'clock. At 4:30 we were released to our barracks for a short rest. Then 30 minutes of close order drill, after which we were free for a time to play basketball or volleyball. As aviation cadets, our pay was $75 a month. We received free uniforms, food, and barrack spaces.
Oh, Jim, stop.
Yeah. Now we're recording.
Oh. I see myself sitting there.
Oh,
Okay.
it's fine.
Well, I don't know what
Okay, so this
say
is
about Pensacola. This looks like a sheet from the
from his logbook.
logbook.
Yeah. And what is nice about this is it shows that he soloed, I forget the date of this, March of 1941, March 28th, 1941, he got signed off on his solo flight.
Oh. Oh no, Mac something field. I can't read that. After a few weeks of formation flying, we moved on to instrument flying. Chevalier Field, that's what it is.
Chevalier Field.
Yeah. In SNJ 3s.
Now that's a picture of an SNJ-3.
And here's a good old PBY.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody,
Did he ever take you for a ride in a PBY?
heavens no. He took me up once in a Beechcraft, and I did not enjoy that at all.
Why not?
I didn't trust him. I didn't like that little plane. No, I might have liked going up in a PBY.
I remember him taking me and Bruce and maybe John on a tour of a PBY when we lived in Atlanta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were only 1 or 2 PBYs I think
There
still left in
couldn't have-
service.
Couldn't have been many PBYs in Atlanta.
No, but there was one, and I remember going in it and walking around and seeing the radioman's compartment and the
Yeah.
flight deck and all that stuff. I wasn't very old in Atlanta, but I still remember that.
You were supposed to be in kindergarten, and they didn't have a kindergarten. And I remember how
Oh.
happy you were when you found out there was no kindergarten.
So that's why I got in all that mischief. So that's the picture of him as an ensign.
Yep.
Now,
just-
those,
and his greens.
yeah, those are greens. Now, you didn't think that was an ugly suit, did you?
No, I like Well, there wasn't the same green, and it wasn't double-breasted, and it had stripes on it. No, the green uniform was very good-looking.
Which did you like best? The white, the khaki, the green?
Or the blue,
Or
the
blue?
formal blue.
I like the white.
Yeah, I always remember the formal whites
That was good.
when they'd wear the sword. So this is about the outbreak of World War II.
No, he's still in training here. Where was it? Someplace about, he had leave and went home. And I guess that was when he finished flight training. And there's their house with,
Now, is that then Grandma and Grandpa's house
yeah.
in Eastmoreland?
So
Where exactly is Eastmoreland? Is it
East-
outside Portland?
Well, it used to be the southern edge of Portland, but of course it's, it's not anymore.
Been swallowed up, yeah.
No. It was a very nice neighborhood, very quiet, lots of trees. And shortly after returning from leave, I saw a very attractive young lady. He tried to pick me up.
So what line did he use?
He
What was his pickup
offered
line?
me a ride home. He said, "Could we offer you a ride home?" I said, "No, thank you. I have a ride."
I don't take rides from strangers.
Right. I didn't know that he knew Mary Barton, that they lived next door.
Oh.
If I'd known, I might have. I don't think so, though. I had better sense than that. And then he made several trips over to see me on the weekends.
In New Orleans?
Mhm.
So how did he get there? Did he fly or drive?
He flew. They would do their weekend flying. Somebody'd get a plane and they'd go over for a weekend and getting in their flight time. This is the drawing that Craig Povey drew on a card for our wedding gift. Us flying off in a little two-seater.
With your veil hanging out the back of the cockpit.
Yes. And here he is painting the boat. Everybody in his group got orders to sea duty, but he managed to get appendicitis. His legs are shaved down to his knees. Can you see
Oh,
that?
goodness gracious. I saw it. Yeah, okay. So he shaved his legs for his
No,
operation?
he didn't. They shaved his legs when he was in the hospital. And when he got out, he had time to paint the boat.
So is that a boat he owned?
That was my boat, my high school graduation present, the Axel.
Oh. So it was a little
Little
skiff kind of a thing?
catboat, one sail.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it had a jib too. I'm not sure. Sister and I used to try sailing it, but we didn't know how to zigzag.
Tack it.
So
Yeah.
we always ended up just sailing into the beach wherever we were, and then we'd tow it home. And we always could see Mother and Aunt Gladys standing out on the end of the
Looking to see where
pier,
you
looking
are.
for the girls. Where are those girls? And we were out of sight on so close to the beach.
Stuck
on the
because you
beach.
couldn't sail your boat home.
Yeah. Well, that's, I guess, the first time he saw Bob Ratz, or Ratz as he called himself, in Hawaii.
So this must have been when Dad was going overseas for his
Yeah.
first tour duty.
Right. And here's Canton, where he lived on Canton Island in a Quonset Well, this is the inside of the Quonset. And it looks like he's playing solitaire, which
Mhm.
I've never seen him do.
So it's a posed picture.
I don't know. And Bob Hope visited Canton Island,
And went fishing, it appears.
went fishing, caught something or other. And this is one of the islands they flew to, and where he collected all those mats, you know, the picture with all those rolled up mats under his arm and
Oh,
shell
yeah,
necklaces
right.
and
That's what he traded for
traded
cigarettes.
for cigarettes. And then, well, I think it was after 2 weeks at Baker, I was relieved by Kent Ashcraft and returned to Canton. Kent Ashcraft crashed. He was, they were neighbors of ours in Pensacola. And nobody ever knew why, but Dad suspected that they exploded the plane because he let his crew members smoke.
Oh,
And,
goodness.
which is not a good idea. And there's the Butch, named after me, with a naked lady painted on it someplace.
Back under the tail.
Jim?
So how did you get the
Jim painted-
nickname Butch?
Oh, Dad thought it was cute because I was so unlike a Butch. And also Bud Burnett called Adelaide Butch. They thought that was funny, I don't know. And this is the crew of the Butch. This guy, the short one, Pusey, he's the one who painted the naked lady on the plane, and he started a portrait of Dad, which was terrible. Fortunately, he never finished
Well, his
it.
painting skills, I mean, there's the
He
naked
didn't
lady
know,
thing.
He didn't know how to paint feet, so he left them off.
So his portrait skills for Dad would not have been all that
No,
great either.
they were really bad. But he tried. And this is in the cockpit.
That's a PBM.
What is that?
That's a PBM. He came back from his first tour, and I know this from
Yeah.
his logbooks, that he came back from his first tour and then transitioned into the PBM.
That was when we lived in
Texas.
Texas, what's that
Corpus
called?
Christi.
Corpus Christi,
Right,
where he trained in the PBMs.
right. And then he went back for a second tour, and just as he got back to the theater, the war ended.
This is all his booty from trading cigarettes.
What are the PBMs used for? What were they used for during the war?
Same thing, patrol and
search and rescue.
rescue stuff, yeah.
Did he bring home any stories of search and rescue?
What?
Did he bring home any stories of search and rescue?
Yes, there's one in the book. About landing on some airstrip where an Air Force plane had gone
Oh,
down.
that was
And the landing strip was full of booby
birds, the boobies.
bird, what did
Blue-footed booby or something.
Anyway, they had made nests and all the bullet marks and not bullets, bomb
The pock marks
craters.
in
I think that was like Howland Island or something. It was the island that Amelia Earhart was supposed to
Right.
land on.
Yeah.
And I remember Dad telling me that they went there and they looked around and they found they had buried supplies for Amelia Earhart on the island. And they went around and they found some of this stuff. And
So when she got there, the supplies would be there?
yeah,
And they found them?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He said it was a very short island. He barely got.
Yeah, he said it was very hard to actually take off on it. It had like a turn in it or something. That's what he had to do. So it was
Well, the Air Force people were so impressed. That's why he got a commendation, that green and white striped ribbon.
oh, for that
That was because of that,
commendation medal.
because it impressed the Air Force.
That a Navy man could fly a plane and save
Yes,
one of theirs.
rescued
Yes.
their people.
They weren't big fans of the Navy pilots. The Air Force?
What?
The Air Force, they were not big fans of the Navy pilots?
Inter-service rivalry.
Well, you know, his brother was in the Air Force. No, the Army
Air Corps.
Air Force.
Yeah.
I don't know, when did they have Air Force by itself?
It was back when
After
Truman.
the war.
Yeah, it was when Truman was president, as I recall. That's when the Air Force became a separate branch.
And here's Jack Looney, who was with him in his green suit, who was killed.
Oh, that's the person standing next to him in the green suit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I knew that Jack Looney was some friend of his from college who was killed in the war.
Yeah, and Oscar Chenoweth was shot down 8 zeros.
Wow.
And Bud Burnett also shot down 8.
Bud Burnett's the one in that picture with
The
3 of them.
alcoholic. And his little brother Bud in the Air Force. And look at the plane he's training
It's
in.
an old J3 Cub. It's an old Piper Cub. It was very common, kind of a first
Yeah.
flight airplane.
Bud Burnett's brother? Or
No, Arch's brother
Arch?
Bud.
John.
Brother Bud. Oh, John.
Yeah, Uncle
Uncle
John.
Well, he didn't really write. He wrote steadily for about a week and then he quit and didn't write anymore. So you'll have, oh, this is in Corpus. That house
It
was,
looks lopsided, actually.
well, the guy built it himself and he didn't know too much about building, obviously.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's really on a foundation. So it's got a lean to it, like the Tower
Well,
of Pisa.
that's the Texas Northerns.
Oh, just blow it
things.
sideways.
I was outside one day hanging up clothes, and they were just hanging there, and all of a sudden, and the northern blew through, and my sheets went out sideways. I don't know how people live in Texas.
That's what I always tell Judy. It's a good place to be from.
Yeah, that's why you left.
And this is his most usual view.
You know, I remember that even when I was in high school. He always had his head under the hood of a car, or he was laying underneath the car.
Yeah. He had one of those things you slide under
Yeah,
the
those little
car.
wheel platforms that you roll around underneath
But
the
this
car.
house, the hot water tank was outside around this side where the northerns blew. So whenever it got cold, it blew out the hot water tank.
Now, what's this called? Cotton field home? Was it right next to a cotton
It was
field?
in it. The cotton fields were on 3 sides, and the back was a cemetery. We were standing. This little house was standing out.
It was like
there.
an island.
How much rent did you pay?
Oh, I don't remember, but I remember he got it through a crooked deal. Somebody had put an ad in the paper, and Dad happened to be in the office and answered the phone when this guy called and said he had an apartment, so Dad took it right away. And the poor guy had put the ad in, had to wait for something else. So I'd have been glad to give him that. And I think that's our second anniversary, which was in Corpus.
So by then he was a lieutenant.
Yes, you can tell this stripe is shinier than the other one.
So they add the stripe on the coat? You don't get like a new coat?
Oh heavens, you have to pay for that yourself. No, they just take off the half stripe and put on a whole one.
Oh.
And JG has a stripe this size and a narrow one.
Right, yeah. So I remember when we were kids in Atlanta that there was a laundry there, and we'd go around and they would, I guess they do these in the laundries, they put the insignias on people if they can pay to have it done or something, but there was a trash bin out there with all these, you know, like stripes for this and that, you know, these, you know, seaman
they
stripes
take it
or
off.
petty officer
Yeah.
stripes and stuff, and we'd pick these up and we'd, you know, run around, stick them on our shirts and think we were cool.
See this one, that's the
Commendation medal?
commendation for picking up that Air Force guy.
Oh, I bet he was proud of that one.
Yeah. And after Corpus, we went to Coronado and rented this bedroom and a bathroom in somebody's house. Somebody else rented the whole house, and we had about this much of the refrigerator, one shelf in the refrigerator.
So you had a bedroom and a bathroom. Did you have your own
And
private
this-
entrance door?
Yeah,
or?
well, yeah, this is the door opened onto the patio. You remember the house we had in Coronado?
Just
when
vaguely,
your
yeah.
kids were there?
Yeah.
There was a back room like this, and it opened out onto the patio, so this is the same style.
I thought you had that whole house on Coronado.
Yeah, it was,
The second time we were there, we had a whole
Oh.
house.
well,
Yeah.
this is before any of you kids were born. This was during the war. And from Coronado, he went overseas, I think to a PBM squadron. It had to be, yeah, from leaving Corpus.
And since I read this book, I saw in his letters there that he came home on the USS Saratoga aircraft carrier
And through the Golden
through the
Gate.
Golden Gate Bridge, and they had
Yeah.
all of the stuff, you know, the water hoses and
Hoopla.
big hoopla and everything as these guys were coming back.
Yeah, that was at the end of the war.
And that's a picture I took.
I know, and that is such a sad picture. I don't like it at the end here. It looks so pathetic.
Why?
Actually, Dad had a lot of fun that day. It's a picture
He
of an
probably
old. It's an
did.
old PBY that was up at Auburn Airport, and is to be restored. And so it's a ratty-looking airplane. They got the wings off of it. They were piled up on the side somewhere, and
All the glass is
all the
out,
glass is gone and
bubbles is-
everything. But you know, I wanted to build a model of a PBY. So Dad went up there and we were looking at it, and he was pointing out all these little details on the PBY that I had really not been aware of. And so there's just a picture of him looking in the window of this PBY, you know. And I talk about his old friends in the twilight of their
Yeah.
years.
Nice.
Yeah. And the rest is Craig Povey's
Yeah.
story.
Okay, well, thanks for going through those.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I can shut that off for